Hey everyone. Experienced Amazon sellers know that issues with inventory can lead to losses in profit and even eventually your business failing. So today I got an expert guest when it comes to inventory management and planning. And she even developed her own Amazon inventory management and forecasting software. So we got Chelsea Cohen today. Hi, Chelsea. How are you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. It's a really interesting topic. I think inventory management, logistics is a huge part of Amazon business because a lot of cash flow is tied in there. It can get really complex when you're managing many SKUs. Why don't you start with a quick intro about how you even came up with your software and how you came about the logistics and inventory?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started selling on Amazon in 2014. And by 2018, I started realizing that I wasn't as good at keeping my inventory in stock as I should have been. So started looking for solutions. And the first was, of course, a spreadsheet. Worked on spreadsheets. It took forever and it became hours and hours of work each month, and I decided to look for software. There was nothing really that worked. A lot of tools had missing pieces, and when it comes to ordering inventory, it's all math, so a missing piece means the entire answer is wrong. So I ended up asking people in the space what they're using, and it was spreadsheets. So I figured if you've got something that can be done on a spreadsheet, it should be able to be done on a software. What is the missing piece? And so that was kind of how I started on the journey for SoStocked, my software.
Yeah, that's a great story. Very like entrepreneur like, and a lot of Amazon sellers they start selling Amazon and often do some other business. And we also actually had a call like a year or something ago about your copywriting agency.
Mhm.
So that's
Yeah,
also something you do.
absolutely.
I think the stock and cash flow are interconnected,
Mhm.
and you can hurt yourself if you order too little or order too much. So this is where we have to forecast, and this is something maybe not for beginner Amazon sellers, but more for advanced sellers who have a lot of SKUs.
Yeah.
So can you give some advice on how can we better forecast?
Yeah, absolutely. So forecasting is it touches inventory touches everything. Marketing, inventory, and finance are basically the pillars of any Amazon business. Making wrong decisions with inventory affects your cash flow, affects your profit, also influences your marketing strategies. If you've got too much inventory, you should have a marketing strategy around that. If you have too little inventory, you should have a marketing strategy around not running out of stock, and paying attention to those things has a huge impact on how your business is going to do financially. So, yeah, as far as forecasting, can jump into some of the strategies around forecasting. Would you say that would be advisable?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so with forecasting, one of the things that we found that was missing was the ability to customize. A lot of the tools had these cookie cutter standard forecasts that basically looked at specific things but didn't allow for things like marketing or customizing for seasonality, removing sales spikes. So the foundation is always the velocity, right? Figuring out how you're going to look at your sales projections before you start layering in some of these other things. So as your business has more stability, it would be 30, 60, 90 days of daily averages. If you have more short term unpredictable sales, such as a wholesale seller who is fighting for the buy box, changes can happen pretty frequently. So looking at something like a 15-day or a 7-day velocity tends to be better for those businesses. And then there's seasonality, and seasonality would be any business that has, let's say, holiday season. You might be predicting for the average. And then when you want to start ordering for holiday season, you would want to switch to looking at your holiday or the summer month, the summer sales pattern.
Yeah, that's a great advice. And we're using SoStocked. So with our brand, it's very important. We have like so many scenarios, seasonal spikes. Some bloggers may promote us without us even knowing. So we really go into the tool and make a lot of settings, a lot of analysis on different SKUs because we also have lots of like color variations that can be popular for specific holidays. We also have to account that into stock. And then also what you said about like marketing and logistics communication also very important when you have to push something and when you have to slow down on something because on Amazon, and actually I also like your approach what you mentioned, you look at the velocity like 30, 60, 90 days because I
Yep.
think that's something that Amazon A9 algorithm uses with keyword ranking. They look at the average performance in those time frames.
Mm,
And yeah, the stock also influences the keyword ranks on Amazon. So as
yeah.
soon as I see that the product is getting low in stock, and oftentimes we're tracking the keyword ranks live, we will see those keyword ranks dropping
Yep.
despite like the bid staying the same and all.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where low inventory level fees come in. It that was a signal to us that everything that we've said about the geo ranking, which is what you're talking about, Amazon doesn't want to sell your inventory if you have low stock. Because and it's a fulfillment. Low inventory sounds like a storage fee. It's actually a fulfillment fee. And the reason that Amazon implemented it, and also the reason that they implement the geo ranking, where they'll lower your rank in certain areas if you're low on stock, is because when someone orders your product, they have to get it there in 2 days if it's Prime. If you don't have enough stock, they have to express ship it over that distance to get it there on time. So it's costing Amazon more. So they lower you in the ranking to discourage you from selling in those areas. And then they also provide, now they charge fees because they're paying those extra express shipping fees. They're passing it on to you now with the low inventory fees.
Yeah, right, right. That's also kind of what we've been doing for Prime Day now. For some brands, we understood some of the top products, they didn't have enough stock. So we
Mhm.
kind of went and focused on the second best product that had the inventory,
Yeah.
even though like the metrics weren't that great, but we had the inventory to push with the ads and all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. One of the things when we talked about inventory for Prime Day is looking at not just your best sellers, looking at those that you have heavy amounts of inventory in. So, you've got inventory that's coming up to being aged inventory, or, you just have excess inventory that eventually will start incurring fees. Being able to take those sales events and have a campaign specifically around how do we move this inventory as much as possible while everyone's on a buying frenzy.
Yeah, definitely. And talking about marketing and logistics communications a bit more,
Mhm,
maybe you got like some real examples. How would an Amazon brand that got a team, like a logistics and PPC team,
mhm.
like would they share a stock account and kind of keep up everyone updated on the stock situation, or someone would be sending reports to someone and then decisions will happen?
Yeah, I believe that probably more often reports are going out to marketing. Inventory probably doesn't want to have marketing in the SoStocked account. Some people maybe they do, but I know the inventory they don't want you to go changing things. So generally, the best practice is to have someone who is in controls the majority of the SoStocked account, and then other people can do things, reports, and things like that. We do have logs, so you'll be able to, when actions are taken, you'll be able to see who did what to refer back to them. But in general, the inventory team would come up with the forecasts. There is the ability to bulk upload your marketing plans. So marketing can take that report, put in the marketing plans that they have, and then inventory can update the forecast. Because if you're going to do a big sale, that's going to affect your marketing or your inventory and your ordering. And then from that point, the orders are placed, and that's on the forecasting side. On the reporting side, so marketing sends their plans to inventory, but inventory also needs to give data to marketing. Marketing has more control over the outcome of inventory than inventory does. Marketing can increase sales, increase velocity, and decrease velocity. It's a very much more proactive than inventory, which tends to be reactive. And the way that inventory can be proactive is by collaborating with marketing and saying, hey, here's a report with all of the slow selling products. Here's a report with all of the products that are incurring aged inventory fees. Come up with a campaign so that we can reduce fees, we can increase profit, we can increase cash flow. People tend to have a hard time scaling, in part because they're not looking at their business from the perspective of capital tied up and fees, incurring fees. So not only have your money tied up in this inventory that's not selling, but you're incurring fees. So it's kind of on both sides, your profit and your cash flow is getting eaten up.
Yeah, absolutely. That's important to keep an eye on all those fees. I actually kind of look into stock in terms of I'm more into marketing,
Mhm.
but for our brand, I always open the SoStocked and like I check where our shipments at for the products, the production and the lead time, all of that. But yeah, it's definitely helpful when those reports are getting just
Yeah,
sent for you.
absolutely.
But for me, yeah, I just gotta know for our brand to see the picture. Talking about shipments, I wanted to ask you about one strategy.
Hmm.
I don't think it's very new. It seems like it's been around for a few years. So there are third-party logistics like warehouses that can
Hmm.
store your products before you ship them to Amazon. But recently, what some Amazon sellers are doing is shipping their products directly from China to Amazon, avoiding like the 3PL.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about this strategy? Can sellers save fees like that, and will it work for everyone?
Mhm. Yeah, so they're going to save, on storage and handling fees from the 3PL for sure. It starts to move us back into, there's just in time inventory and just in case inventory. And just in time inventory means that you're not keeping a lot of excess. You're sending what is needed, and, you're running kind of a little bit tighter there. That's how selling on Amazon used to be. It used to be you send your inventory in direct from China. So it's a very old and now newer strategy. Everything changed with COVID. So most sellers went from just in time inventory to just in case inventory. 3PL industry, blew up and exploded. Inventory management and inventory forecasting got a lot crazier, which is why, having our software at that time was very important for sellers. And so this is moving us back to just in time inventory. It's a great strategy in terms of profit and cash flow. The turnover is quicker. Something to keep in mind is that the logistics and shipping industries are very volatile right now. So that's something to factor in if you're doing that. Keep your pulse on what's happening, because there's two major problems that are occurring. One is that the Red Sea is having a lot of political unrest. There's a lot of pirating there. There's a lot of attacking ships based on, the problems politically in that area. And so that was a direct path from China to the EU. And now the that's completely changed. So now ships have to go around I believe it's the Cape of Good Hope through Africa. So they have to go around the continent of Africa. That ties up ships for longer, meaning the demand for ships is higher because there's not as many ships available. Now it's starting to press into air shipping. And then the Panama Canal is having problems in terms of, lower capacity because there's been a huge drought. So there's not as much waterway. So all that to say, I kind of can nerd out on this stuff, but all that to say that shipping costs have gone up significantly. Not going through a 3PL is going to save you, but you need to factor in the additional time and the lack of reliability of how long it's going to take, or additional shipping through there.
Yeah, I see that strategy is getting very popular, but not all sellers are adopting it.
Yeah.
We're still using 3PL.
Yeah, AWD is another one. It's basically a 3PL. There's a lot of people moving over to Amazon warehousing and distribution, and there are definitely some benefits to it. So we'll probably see more and more of that.
All right. So I wanted to ask you, what do you think about the tools that Amazon itself offers to sellers in terms of like inventory management? They have some analytics tools. Seems like they're always expanding. So what do you think about this?
Yeah, so it's great that they're releasing these tools. It's a lot more over the years. We've had a lot more visibility and a lot more transparency in a lot of different places, right? An example in the marketing space is the audiences, being able to target audiences, know audience demographics, and know the behavior, cart abandonment, those types of things. The same thing is happening kind of across the board for Amazon in terms of giving more visibility. The forecasting is not very reliable. A lot of sellers have found that the forecasting isn't reliable. Their algorithms miss out on a lot of things. Stock out, sales spikes can sometimes be a problem, as well as they don't know your marketing plans. They don't know, they're not studying all of the trends that you are. They don't know, what your objectives are, and what your third party stock objectives or positioning is. So that side of things, proceed with caution. They do give more transparency on the age of inventory. There is a new dashboard about the trends for inventory, which are a good marker. One of the things that I think Amazon selling industry tends to get stuck in is to operate their logistics and their inventory on lagging indicators rather than leading indicators. And what I mean by that is that a lot of times you're not fully forecasting. Amazon will give you patterns for what has happened in the past, but not looking at in the future, what is your aged inventory going to look like, right? You've got Christmas coming up. Are you actually going to sell through that inventory to be able to forecast and plan for avoiding fees? So I think there's good visibility and there's good data. It's an incomplete picture though, so there is room to improve that.
Yeah, for sure. Like with everything, even like with the ad console, Amazon adds a lot, but still there are some third-party tools that can add at least more to analytics,
Mhm.
not even talking about management. Yeah, the same for inventory, for sure. Their tools probably not that reliable in terms of like, again, you'll have so many unique scenarios, and with our brand, I think we actually had my business partner had a call with one of your representatives to
Mhm.
like go through all of our basically business setup and make a kind of custom predictions or forecasting
Yep.
for our brand. So
Mhm.
we've been using that for a while, and yeah, it works. The only thing that I like see in Amazon Inventory Manager is when you get that low stock sign on
Yep.
your product. That's when I usually see that the ranks will stop dropping for the keywords. Like if we're
Mhm.
tracking the organic ranks, I
Yep.
don't know if it's like 100% tight, but I made several observations, and as soon as like you get that low stock sign, the ranks slowly start dropping.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely. Yeah, and yeah, I find that, yeah, like just like you said, it's those lagging indicators. It's you need to know well in advance before you get into that danger zone. And Amazon will show you when you are in the danger zone, but they don't necessarily warn you if you're going to get there. So one of the things that we added was low inventory, not just a low inventory alert that you're in low inventory in the range of low inventory fees, but up to 2 weeks in advance, you can get that alert. We've got a dashboard that shows you, because I think that in general, the big piece that's missing in Amazon's data, as well as within this side of the business, the logistics, the inventory management, and the finance side, is the data is there, but it's not in an actionable form, right? The data is all over the place. And so that's a big part of what I'm focused on, and what we're doing is bringing the data in together in such a way that it is actionable. And then also, we're starting to move into more advanced formulas, taking Amazon's fee policies and trying to strategize. If you've got aged inventory, should you sell through it? Should you liquidate it? All of these different pieces of fees and of data put into an actionable form, which I think is the only way that sellers are going to be able to make the right decisions, is if they have the right data and it's understandable and actionable.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right about like the amount of data and interpreting it. Like that's what we find we're doing most of the time.
Yeah.
We get massive amounts of data, and we gotta tie it all together and interpret it, and yeah, the advertising, the logistics, all tied together.
Mm-hmm.
And we are like building custom dashboards even for some of our business needs, because there is nothing on the market like
Mm-hmm.
what we need. So
Yep.
yeah,
Right.
you're right. And yeah, we already talked about the software, touched about some parts, but
Mm-hmm.
maybe we could go a little bit more deeper into the SoStocked.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can tell about some of the features you're specifically proud of, and like what would be like a thing that would motivate a seller who's using Sheets right now
Yeah.
to go and start using SoStock or give it a try.
Sure. Yeah. So forecasting is the foundation of SoStocked. Being able to customize, advanced features, such as if you've got a lightning deal or you've got an influencer arrangement, you can forecast for that, taking all your marketing plans and combining them, accounting for things like stockouts and sales spikes that shouldn't be continuing. So everything has to be kind of smoothed out. You have to have a proper representation of what your business is going to do in the future, looking at the past. So that is the boring piece, the forecasting piece, all of the kind of nitty gritty side of things. The place that I get excited is where you can take that, you can take your forecasting, and we also have POs, and you can track your orders, and you can know how much inventory is there. Everything that you think that a forecasting software should be able to do with bells and whistles. But the place that we're moving and the direction that we're moving in, where I get excited, is to tie that into not just marketing, which we've been doing for a while with slow seller reports and then stock out reports, but how do we start tying it into the finance side of things? Because inventory is the most expensive part of your business. And being the most expensive, it's the most expensive mistake you'll ever make in your business. So since it's so directly tied to profit and to cash flow, it's important to understand how inventory is affecting those things. Anything you do, if you look at the fees, there's two main categories of fees. There's fulfillment fees and there's storage fees. And both of those have to do with handling inventory. It's either moving inventory or you're holding inventory. And both of those things are costing you money. So what we're doing is forecasting for some of these fees, and we're adding more and more to that. We're forecasting for aged inventory and for excess storage fees, because if you may be profitable when it comes to your product landing at Amazon, but if that product is sitting there for 6 to 9 months, you may not be as you definitely aren't as profitable as you think you are. You may not be profitable enough to warrant continuing to order that product. And a lot of these products, can sometimes be on auto order, where you're just ordering it and ordering it because it's one of your ASINs in your catalog, but it's not as profitable as you think it is. And maybe you could be investing in more marketing or in launching new products instead.
That's great. And actually, when I asked my business partner what questions would we have, he had about this topic, and he said like he would want the cash flow metrics, and advanced supplier payments,
Yeah.
terms tracker linking to the bank account.
Mm.
So yeah, I think that would be a great addition for the analytics.
Yes, yeah, that's where we're the direction that we're moving. We will be releasing new features around fee prevention. So if you've got age inventory fees, what are those data points? How do you know what to do with them? Should I continue to sell them at the current pace? Should I sell through them? Should I liquidate? Should I remove? All of those have financial consequences. So that's kind of the first place that we're pushing is, stop the bleeding, right? The first way to be more profitable is to eliminate those things that are actively taking money out of your pocket and tying up your capital. So we'll be releasing this. I'm not sure when this comes out, but we'll be releasing this, and it's fee prevention, and it'll show you not just how much you're going to save, but what are the other financial implications if you are decreasing your sales, but you're decreasing your price, but your sales are increasing. That's offsetting your aged inventory. If you're paying to remove it, oftentimes, mostly removing is going to cost you more than the fees themselves. But liquidation by Amazon liquidation is an option. So it takes all of those things and it gives you the data to help make those decisions. And you can see directly on the dashboard, will show you the financial impact of each of those decisions. So that'll be coming very soon.
Yeah, that will definitely be helpful. So looking forward to checking this out. And another thing I got a suggestion is to actually make somehow see like success or failure rate of the forecasts themselves, so we can also
We have
better
that.
them.
We should talk because we have that. There's a
Oh
report
yeah.
that we have. So there's a downloadable report on the forecast page that we added called Forecasted versus Actual. And that will show you, you can download per month, and it'll show you a monthly and a weekly success rate of every single one of your ASINs, what was forecasted. And we're taking every single day at the end of the day, what was the forecast each day, and what were the sales each day. And then combining that to look at the weekly and the monthly forecast versus what actually happened on that day. And then a percentage. So you can sort and say, okay, this one, it was 5% off, but this one was 30% off. 5% I can live with, 30% is a lot. What happened there? And you can start digging into that to start refining your forecast. So yeah, so that's definitely there. And as far as cash flow, that's something that I'm working on.
All right, we'll definitely check it out. So I think, yeah, I really like the last part about the cash flow coming soon. So maybe there is something else that you'd like to share before we wrap things up.
Taking a strategic approach, I think that um, of course, the industry is very marketing heavy, but as we saw with COVID, things are starting to progress. I mean, I've been in this industry since 2014, and there's never been a huge focus on inventory until 2020, right? Started becoming a problem for people, but it was never a focus. And then it kind of forced everyone to have to get better inventory. And now, I've been saying almost the last 3 years that finance is the next step for the industry. It's a lot harder to be profitable, right? It was, it's always hard to be profitable in a business, but it was easier to be profitable back in 2014, 15, 16. Now Amazon takes a bigger piece of the pie. So finance tools, and there's a lot of finance tools that can tell you what your profit is today, but not what your profit will be tomorrow. So those are the things that I'm passionate about is we have the ability to forecast sales. We have the ability to forecast inventory. If we have that ability, we also and I have a very extensive knowledge of fee policy. So if you take fee policy and match it with your sales velocities, I wouldn't say an easy, but for us with our forecasting, there's a direct path to getting more visibility on profit and cash flow so that you can actually do strategic planning. So that's kind of some of the things that we're excited about is forecasting for fees, profit, and cash flow as the next step for the industry to really become very strategic about their decisions as a businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good point. We're also monitoring our profit using some softwares and always like watching how our ads impacting profits, inventory impacting profits.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I actually do have one last secret question for you, if you don't mind. So who would you recommend Amazon sellers or anyone in the industry, three people to follow in this industry, but it can be you or me?
Okay. So the first person come to mind is Toma Rabinovich. Super smart. He's one of those people that like you can't take notes fast enough. I've, had the pleasure of being able to work with him. We spoke at Prosper together, and he looks at a business holistically. He thinks differently. And he's very focused on how to scale through profit and cash flow. He just thinks differently than a lot of Amazon sellers in that way. I'd say Brandon Young is great to follow. He's just all around. He's very, very much data oriented. He has a great community, and now he hosts a great event, Ecom Camp or Camp
Camp,
Ecom,
camp, Ecom. Yeah.
which way it went. Hosts a great event, and he just has, just very, very smart and very data driven, insights into business. And then the last one I'll say is Vanessa Hung. She is I get the pleasure of working with her directly in Carbon 6. She's been in the Amazon space, I think since 2015 on the back end side. So as we call it, the unsexy subjects. Uh, she knows all of those tricks about how to make Seller Central do what you want it to do, right? The problems that you have, the sticking points, or Seller Central is not doing what you want, she can help to advise on that. And then she just has, as AI is progressing in Amazon, she is very, very well up to date with all of that, and she already can think how Amazon thinks because she's been working with Amazon, the Amazon platform for a long time. So now looking at combining Amazon and AI, she's making predictions and training on how the algorithm is behaving with AI now and where it's going to be going in the future so that you don't take your old marketing strategies and try to implement them in an AI world.
All right. Those are some great names. We'll have the links to all those people. You should definitely follow them. A lot of knowledge. And follow Chelsea for inventory forecasting. And yeah, I will have the links to the SoStocked software, and we will have some sweet deal for anyone who's interested. So go and check it out. But for today, we're done. Thank you so much, Chelsea. I think you shared a lot of great tips. Sellers can take notes and definitely should check out SoStocked because we're using it. I wouldn't be recommending it otherwise.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.